Welcome back, guys. Here's Dyrus and the TSM fans celebrating their last week win over CLG. The Lust Boys only been on the team for half a year. Guys, it's not hard to get swept up in the rivalry.
TSM과 CLG의 라이벌 관계는 알고 있긴 하지만 저 아무래도 TSM이 처음 들어왔고 그 TSM과 CLG 옛날부터 시작된 그 라이벌 관계를 직접 진짜 경험해보지 않았잖아요. 그래서 그렇게 경기 시작 전까지는 크게 나와있지 않았는데 막 관중들이 TSM 찬타기 시작하니까 갑자기 좀 긴장되더라고요.
Well, hopefully this crowd doesn't make him too nervous. I heard a Go Lust Boy shout, by the way, when that video ended. Guys, it's time for our next match. It's Team Solo Mid versus Coast. And now for TSM, they are no doubt still riding an emotional high after their win over their rivals last week.
Yeah, that game was on a razor's edge at times. CLG was building a lead, but TSM fought their way back through a couple decisive team fights to turn the game around. They're playing really well, and now they've got the longest current winning streak with 6 games and started the week in sole possession of first place. Let's see if they can keep that up.
Well, at worst they can tie. Actually, no, because they'll still hold the head-to-head, so we'll see if they can how long that streak stays alive. It will be a big test, though, for Coast's newest member, ManCloud. He's taken over the mid lane from Jess's, but what a tough first test, facing off against Bjergsen. Now, ManCloud is no stranger to people, of course. He was playing the very start of the LCS, a team known as Vulcan for a while, even was the league kill leader in 2013 summer with 167 kills in those 28 games, so certainly has had some great performances before.
Yeah, still holds that title, but Coast made a point to say that the decision to bring on ManCloud was purely based on what they thought he could bring to the team. Coast are on a 6-game losing streak in contrast. They're in last place with 2 games separating them from the next team. So now is the time to make a change and try something new, especially at the halfway point of the season.
We'll see if the guys are going to start going upwards in this one. TSM's Lustboy describes his support approach as more calculated. It's a play style that he says is very different than his opponent in this match, Sheep.
저는 좀 운영적으로 플레이를 만들기보다는 운영을 통해서 천천히 이기는 스타일이고 쉽 선수 같은 경우에는 모르겠다 그냥 욜로 서포터 그렇게 말하고 싶고요. 아무래도 그냥 그 욜로 몇 번만 막아내면 쉽게 저희들 템포로 돌아오지 않을 것 그렇게 생각하고 있어요.
I think that's how I cast. I don't know what's going on. Pun.
YOLO!
YOLO.
Gotta go hard.
You gotta go hard all the time. Guys, let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side is Team Solo Mid. Dyrus in the top lane, Santorin in the jungle, Bjergsen in mid, Wild Turtle on AD carry, and Lustboy on support.
And on the red side, it's Team Coast. Chris in the top lane, Impaler in the jungle, ManCloud in the mid lane, Mash on AD carry, and Sheep on support.
YOLO indeed for that guy, though. He's going hard. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing, apparently.
No. But
I like how I don't talk and applause happen. This is great.
it's like one of those hold for applause things. Yeah. But anyway, you're really proud of that one. It wasn't even that good.
No, it wasn't. But your response made it better, which is all it's about, by the way. The content is irrelevant. It's you guys that make it good. So, thanks.
All right. But this is the top of the table versus the bottom of the table here. So Coast are looking to make some adjustments with ManCloud. His aggressive style that he was known for previously is something that they're banking on here. Because with Jess's, he has a very reserved style. Jess's wasn't going to win you the game, but he also wasn't going to lose you the game.
Yeah.
ManCloud has more variance. ManCloud can go really hard and pay for it, or he can take over the game.
Yeah, it honestly just depends on how much pressure is around where ManCloud goes. Like, he is a guy who goes hard. Again, he is the kill leader for one of the splits. When he went to Worlds, when his team actually had a pretty darn good performance, they beat Fnatic in the group stage back then. Like, his old Vulcan team, they were pretty good, and it was ManCloud who made a lot of that happen. But that's 2 years ago.
He'll probably always hold that title, too, because the season's shorter.
Games.
Yeah.
Until the meta becomes like full China, where you get 15 kills a game, then you'll see someone beat that. But not the case right now. Now, you're right. I want to kind of keep you on the Jess's point there for a second and talk about the difference in styles, because I feel like, and maybe this is a dumb way to think about League of Legends, but this is how I feel about it, is it's about game theory. It's about sort of playing a lot of percentages and making estimates based on what you know and what you don't know. And Jess's, you're right, he would never lose you the game by himself. But I feel like he's like a 40-60 kind of player. He'll never, ever build an advantage, and once in a while he'll get soloed in lane. And so you're kind of 40-60. You're kind of losing a little bit in the mid lane anytime you play with a player like Jess because he cannot have like that upper hand. Whereas ManCloud, maybe he's a 50-50. Maybe he's 40-60, but it's just really high variance. But Coast looking for some actual advantages to come out of those lanes. And you talk about players like Impaler who, want to be shot calling, want to be making plays, want to be going hard a lot of the time. Let's get another player that can support him in that play style. They can go together and make plays. That might be really helpful.
Yeah, ManCloud right now for me is a 30-30. And the other 40% is I have not seen ManCloud in a while. So I don't know what he does at this point. If he's the same or not, or if he's gotten worse or better. Because we saw him in Challenger on a bunch of teams. He was hopping around, and he just wasn't finding success. He wasn't finding the same success, the same assassin style. And now it's a lot about control mages. A lot of assassins are secondary to that at the moment. But they don't want control mages on Coast. They want these assassins. They want somebody who can synergize with Impaler and make plays.
Yeah. Zed, Ari Kassadin.
I expect to see those.
Jump in on people. One of his best champions was Jace as well, actually, which we don't see very much of, but also adds an emphasis champion, right? Jace is a guy that has impact and says, hey, by the way, deal with this poke, deal with this siege, we're going to deal with you guys.
Puts on his glasses.
Yeah. And also one thing that's really good for Coast as well, I think, is you look at Mash here on your screen. Mash has actually been pretty consistent with the team so far. I've actually liked his play overall. Oh, that's right. It's Bjergsen's birthday, by the way, today.
That's right.
So the crowd.
Not only does he have the crowd behind him,
they're also in front of him.
Because it's his birthday. He's also got it because he's on TSM. And so ManCloud has to deal with not just Bjergsen, it's Bjergsen on his birthday.
It's true.
But I also heard he's sick. He's a little sick right now.
Sorry.
Tweeted earlier, out of all the days to be sick, it's my birthday.
That's too bad. I'm sorry, Bjergsen. It's okay, though. We believe in you, and we think you'll get better. But at the same time, I think that Coast, we talk about them still a little bit more. With the addition of ManCloud, I think them getting someone else to be threatening to alleviate some pressure off of MASH. Think about this lineup. It's a whole bunch of guys going YOLO all the time, right? Chris will start a game 4-0 and then not know what to do with his lead because the rest of his team is doing poorly, and he'll start getting caught out and lose. Impaler wants to go in all the time, period. He's one of the better Rengar players in NA. That's all that champion can do is go hard and try to kill people. MASH, very aggressive AD carry. Sheep, another guy who we just heard him get talked about. He's a YOLO support. He's like, I'm just going to flay you guys in. We'll just fight. I don't really care. And having ManCloud on that same page as well, so much chaos, I think is an advantage for Coast. They need some 50-50 games because they're 1-7 right now.
Yeah, they need a YOLO commander on this one. They need somebody who's going to organize all the chaos and start sending it somewhere.
Yeah.
But TSM, they have looked really good lately. Their game against CLG, they did have some slip-ups there, which put them behind at the start. But their team fighting and taking advantage of small mistakes is what put them back in the game. Just tiny mistakes and capitalizing off of them is how they beat CLG. Against Coast, I expect there to be a lot more mistakes.
True.
Because ManCloud is new, to this roster.
Absolutely. You can only expect so much practice from these guys of Coast. Once in a while, a team just clicks, but that is a rare situation to be in. So Coast, a very uphill battle and an incredibly difficult first test for these guys, but you've only got 10 games left in the season, and you're 7 wins behind TSM? 6 wins behind TSM. You got a lot of ground to cover up if you want to move up in the standings.
A lot of ground. Indeed. I don't even know if they... It's possible they could do it, but TSM, of course, would have to lose pretty much every game, only win 3 more.
I guess to be fair, they need top 6 for playoffs. I'm not saying, okay, take first place, but they need...
I mean, you're right. It is halfway through the season, and I think now it's time to start thinking about last place gets relegated. You end up in Challenger again, and Coast don't want to be back there. They make that last-minute swap, or this mid-season swap, of ManCloud for a desperation move to swap up their style, switch it up a little bit, see if they can spice up this roster and have it click. It's a risk, but we'll have to see if it pays off.
I think risks are what Coast need right now because the same old course wasn't working for these guys. Aurelia goes away from Chris, Morgana away from Sheep, and Jarvan away from Impaler. Meanwhile, Lissandra, Callista, Annie dropped away from TSM. A lot of bans we are used to seeing here, especially with these teams considered.
Let's see what they secure for that first pick here. Callista still up. No, sorry, Callista banned away. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Kassadin still up. Different K champion. Kassadin still up, but they're going to go with the Janna here. They're going to put Lustboy on a disengage. Different priorities here.
TSM has always been about the split, it seems. Picking their fights. Gianna Sivir is like their core combo they go to time and again. And I want to see if Coast wants to steal it.
You just heard Lustboy talking about how they want to win the game slowly. Janna's going to punish you for going YOLO.
It's true.
Janna can disengage you, restart the fight, or throw you into her own team. So that's a really good pickup here for Lustboy, who likes to win the game slowly.
Weirdly, Janna actually one of the worst win rates in the NALCS, 8-16. Coast, though, looking to go aggressive right away. Kassadin, right off the bat. ManCloud playing something aggressive. Impaler, Rek'Sai, something aggressive as well. Now, if they can kill you before Janna gets her knockbacks in, maybe it works, but playing right into what TSM seem to be wanting to prevent.
Going immediately for the engage here in Santor, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up the Vive for himself. He wants a champion in the jungle that's very strong. Lee Sin, not any good anymore. J4 off the table. Rek'Sai is taken as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're just trying to hide more of their hand longer down the line.
Seems to be the case. TSM could safely pick up Sivir or their mid laner. I don't know if Chris is a big Kassadin player. I don't believe we've seen him play it yet.
I think the Sivir would be pretty safe here. It'd be a pretty safe pickup as long as you junction it with this. But
this is the other combo TSM goes for with Janna. They seem to go back and forth between Sivir to pick fights and Jinx because they can keep her alive. She is, I think, one of the only two remaining hyper carries in League of Legends right now. Her and Kog'Maw, now that Tristana got her changes. And Wild Turtle happy to take the resets and go hard. Right off the bat, though, Coast say, great, we'll take the team fights, we'll take the engage, pick me Sivir.
Yep, they want to go ham. They want to go hard. They're going to rush in there, YOLO it up. And now, the picks that they have left to secure are their support and possibly their top laner / mid laner here. I assume that Kassadin, just by looking at it, is going to go to ManCloud because of his style.
Yeah.
But that's not something that's going to win lane. But who wins lane against Bjergsen?
No one, by the way.
There you go.
Unless you're like Pawn. Then you'll probably...
Who in the North American LCS?
Yeah.
Who wins lane?
Ooh!
Damn!
Blitzcrank for Sheep. That's going to be good.
We talked about in the middle of the season, you got to take some risks.
Yes.
There's a risk right there. But hooking a Jinx definitely pays off.
Dude, this is actually one of the best lane matchups in the game for Blitzcrank. No escape AD carry, and Janna is the freest support in the world to try to Blitzcrank hook. She has no way of punishing you for playing aggressively, so Coast should be looking at 2-on-2 this lane.
That is a really good pickup there. And the fact that Sheep, he's known for his Thresh play, and I'll stop talking about Thresh play for a second here, but I don't think that's going to get locked in.
Man, we saw it actually. No, we saw it in China, Hecarim getting played.
That's true. Hecarim top is not that bad at all. Hecarim middle does very well against melees, but I assume this is going to be the safer pick here for TSM. Even when they're facing the 10th ranked team in the LCS, they're still going to respect their opponents and pick just a straight-up composition that they know they succeed on.
Yep, looks like a standard TSM lineup for this one, guys. Maokai top for Dyrus. Santorin on a Playmade King jungler, especially with the level 6 power spike. And no surprise, they can get Bjergsen fed up in that mid lane with Vi Ahri for the gank combo.
Vi Ahri was a really big combo a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Season 3 Worlds, I think. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, way back then, yeah.
When people were like, Vi's a fantastic jungler. And then they started getting that pick combo and getting their mid laners ahead. The game is kind of coming back, at least for TSM style, to be very mid-centric. So having that champion on Santorin and having him be that facilitator of Bjergsen's lead is really good.
Could be really wonderful for TSM. They're back on kind of home soil champion select-wise, and now Team Coast. They first picked the Kassadin, first round. Is it actually Chris? Is it actually ManCloud? They did not pick another solo laner the whole time, and now they get to decide where that actually goes. Zed, that was a thought. Will they run double assassin, and what better way to create chaos than exactly this? Zed Kassadin, the solo lanes for Team Coast. Chaos ensues.
Zed has a little more kill pressure in the lane than Kassadin does at early levels, so that seems like a more ManCloud type of champion. But this is a team that wants to go into you and also bring you into them at the same time for Team Coast. They're going YOLO, but they're going to make one person YOLO them.
Well, unfortunately in League of Legends you do live more than once.
Yes,
respawn timers do exist, and the game can keep on going, but certainly Team Coast looking to create a whole bunch of chaos. ManCloud making his premiere in the 2015 North American LCS. He's fighting Bjergsen of all people, and he's like, give me Zed, I'm going to go beat up an Ahri.
We'll have to see. It is Bjergsen's Ahri, who he had great success against CLG last week.
The fans are ready. I am certainly ready. And the players, I sure hope, are ready as well. TSM looking to extend their first place streak. CLG right now are tied with them in wins, so TSM would want to take this to guarantee first place. There's a handshake as everyone else leaves the stage who aren't playing League of Legends or reffing it. And I really want to see this matchup because ManCloud used to be the best mid laner in the NALCS back in 2013. Bjergsen arguably took that title in 2014. They're matching up again this year. I do think it'll be a very fun matchup. And if you guys think it's going to be fun as well, then tweet us. Tweet hashtag TSM win or hashtag CST win to @LOL Esports based on who you think is going to win this game. Bjergsen getting himself another Ahri, ManCloud debuting on Zed. And an interesting Maokai versus Kassadin top lane matchup. I know Kassadin gets flexed sometimes, but I want to see how he does up here facing a tank. Trying to scale up for the late game.
And the big thing here with the Kassadin matchups that I've been noticing is lane swaps are pretty good. Lane swapping on a Kassadin is not a bad strategy at all.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too is, and we're just going to stop talking about that because Coast is going YOLO right now with the Blitzcrank.
Well, they're going to run away.
Oh,
And
he put the brakes on.
yeah, no one in range at all. Okay. So far safe. TSM do back out, but they give away jungle control to Coast. TSM immediately react by running their way over to the east of the map. We're looking to get some similar wards down.
So lane swap situation here, you don't want to get hooked in if you're Jinx or Janna. You talked about how that is a terrible matchup for them. But lane swapping it would most likely be in TSM's favor. They have the synergy down between their jungler and their mid laner, and that is what lane swaps. If you make it about that, you can make it all about that. Because the mid laner's on an island. They're CSing against each other. ManCloud versus Bjergsen, pound for pound, can they go at each other? Impaler plus ManCloud, I don't know if the synergy is there just yet. It would definitely be in Santorin and Bjergsen's favor from what we've seen.
Ooh, Coast trying to play the mind games here. They started some recalls, but Sivir and Blitz will be top lane, and TSM will be on the bot side. So lane swap found right now for TSM. They will dodge the Blitzcrank matchup. Now that said, Sheep being allowed to run around the map does mean he can go for the hook plays. So it's not all negative for him. He starts the jungle with Impaler. And they will realize right about now that they've been had.
Jigs up. So he freezes the wave there. They both do it on either side. Sheep now gets to roam around, place no wards, because he used his previously. His will be up in just a second, but he gets to try and make a play around the map.
Dyrus actually does clear off a Wraith camp and then immediately goes for this. Bjergsen, level 2 for ManCloud. Hook, not even going to land, and takes 2 turret shots for his trouble. Bet he's feeling pretty sheepish now.
That was bad.
Yes. Join me in the dark side.
He has to go back up to the top lane with half HP. His sheep tail tucked between his legs. They're actually pretty small, so it actually wouldn't be that easy.
He's a flexible dude. I don't know.
But he gets to go back up top. He's going to use some of his stacks here to get the HP back. But Dyrus, we just heard Zion talking about, if you get farm in a 2-on-1 lane, it's basically given to you. It is a gift from the League gods. And Chris,
they allowed me minions.
Chris seems very atheistic right now. He's not getting any.
But ironic based on his name.
Well done. Thank you. But the fact that they lane swapped on top of the Kassadin, like I said at the start, before the 5-on-5 was coming out, the Kassadin getting lane swapped on is really bad for Kassadin. It's so hard to CS underneath the turret.
Yeah, I agree. You're absorbing XP.
And Mike Smithy, Santorin, different buy, different game, different team, is now coming down bottom, and they're doing the same thing here. They're just going to 3-man this turret.
A good safe trinket ward used by Chris. Spots the gank attempt. He's going to back out nice and safe for this one, but it means he's getting no experience at all. Meanwhile, Dyrus actually is. He's level 3 just now. No dive actually happens. A much better played lane swap so far by TSM.
Yep. CLG did it first, but TSM, not to be out-had, do the exact same thing. And here's the thing, is Mash doesn't get to push this lane. Sheep has to go bottom to respond. And Impaler gets to do nothing to Dyrus.
Coast are just late to the party. TSM just made all their choices sooner, and none of it really paid out. They could have went hard to push back Dyrus, didn't do so, didn't push it in. Could have went to defend the turret, didn't do that in time either. A double wave got lost. This turret's almost dead already. Hook? Nope. Minions came in.
Get hooked into a Cassidid. Oh no!
Yeah, this is not a good 2-on-2 lane matchup. Like, this is actually, like, the way these lanes now pair out. Look, Janet Jinx doesn't want to fate Blitzcrank, but there's no backup for Blitz oh, okay. No, he's fine. But there's no real backup. Sivir would do so much more than Cassidin would if a hook lands. Not to mention actually can see us.
If he gets the slow, the forced pulse down, then maybe, but that's about it. I do want to turn attention, though, to this mid lane. ManCloud's up.
A lot.
17 CS. Yeah, that's some ManCloud fans. Those 3 guys in the audience.
Hey. He will, I assume, build a whole lot more throughout this season. I do have high hopes for the XXDG member.
They've been waiting 2 years for this moment.
Bam. Turret goes down. Wild Turtle runs really fast to nowhere. And here's the attempted gank. Flash knockup comes in. Bjergsen is slowed, forced to flash himself away. Impaler charmed to the turret. He will live, though. Burrows under, heals up.
They've drained all of Bjergsen's mana, too. He has to back here. And so Santorin is going to hold this. And now they get to shove this wave out in the middle and just have all that experience in CS go over to Santorin instead of Bjergsen.
And such smart gank timing as well. They do it right before
they're
Ari
wrapping
hits 6.
around bottom. They're trying to go for this lane in the bottom lane.
Oh, this is cute. Sheep is spotted, though. Level 4 for all these guys. Nothing done by Sheep. Zed does not make his roam happen, and he's going to get a late recall.
Yep. Because of that, like you said, the late recall. So now he doesn't get back to lane. At the same time, Bjergsen now has the opportunity to shove this wave really hard. Although it is a cannon minion wave, has a little more HP in it. He's not going to be able to have it bounce off the turret fast enough.
But we'll see how much gets denied away from this poor Zed. I like the item build, by the way, of Bjergsen. So he's going towards the early Zonias because he's aware that Zed is a jerk and tries to kill him. But he actually buys a second Doran's Ring, partially for the health, but also to give him enough mana regen to actually stay in lane without ooming in case blue does get stolen. Since, of course, his blue is on the weak side of the map.
He hit 6 sooner than ManCloud as well because of this. So he shoves this wave up. He's now allowed to go roam somewhere and use his ultimate or go place wards deeper.
Oh, there's one deep-ish ward.
Looking for the play. Yep, he sees ya.
Tagged him anyway.
That looked like it was floating a little further than it should have. But speaking of floating around, Nash.
Oh, the spell shield goes down. Doesn't get used for anything. Impaler will defend the guy. But ulti down. ManCloud the all-in gets outplayed by Bjergsen in the one-on-one. Right off the bat at level 6. Nicely done, Bjergsen.
Weren't even allowed to look at it. It was so good.
Well, happy birthday, Bjergsen. You are awarded with a solo kill first blood. It's like every week's his birthday.
I'm pretty sure he's the solo kill leader at this moment in the NALCS.
Yeah.
Before 15 minutes.
Oh, man.
Easily.
He's destroying. And look at this by TSM as well, by the way. They had the lane swap happen. They took down that bottom lane outer turret. They swapped their AD carry back in with a BF sword. Did the same thing again, even in face of a 2-on-2. And TSM absolutely crushing the early game. All lanes.
We're going to see this here. He uses his shadow, gets hit by a charm, and then it is an all-in. Oh! He tries to retaliate, and Bjergsen is having none of that.
Yeah. His Q and E were on cooldown when he went for the death mark, and then Bjergsen just with some very good dodging.
It was a desperation death mark. He used it when he didn't have any cooldowns available, like you said.
Yeah.
So the damage of the death mark was not going to be enough to blow up Bjergsen, and it was just a panic move.
Well, Coast still trying to make some plays. Sheep only level 3, roaming around with boots 1, not finding much. Bjergsen, maybe another attempt. His ult is, of course, down. A lot of burst coming through. Charge still lands on ManCloud, though. And a shield from Lustboy keeps him safe.
Oh, Lustboy!
Hold on, goes in. Sheep taking a whole lot of damage. Wild Turtle suddenly shows up. Looks now for ManCloud. Out goes Impaler. Zap hits him. He gets 1. He gets 2. Looks for the 3rd. Not going to find it. Out goes ManCloud.
They're going to continue to push up this mid lane here. Wild Turtle and Lustboy showing up at the right time. Here comes the rocket.
Oh, no!
Ow, it hit me! They're continuing to shove up this wave. And Impaler, he's just going to be on the side just so he's present, but he can't do anything about this push.
can't do anything at all. TSM already, all 3 outer turrets 9 minutes in. 4,500 gold lead for them. Dragons on the table if they want it. First some wards, then some recalls, and then evil lizards.
And now you can see just the CS advantage that they've created in that top lane for themselves. Bjergsen gets out here, though, purely based on the massive movement speed from the Q. Just rushes back, and he's out. Sheep has to run around. Lustboy flashes into that.
That's amazing.
Just wants to be a part of it, and then he gets the Q across, which locks up Sheep long enough for Wild Turtle to close the distance and not have him react. Great trail off there, and the fact that they were all showing up at that time, predicting that Bjergsen was going to get jumped on. But speaking of getting jumped on, Dyrus here.
Attempted dive. Dyrus forced to flash. Will they let the hook? Yes, they do. Dyrus gets pulled in. There's the death mark as well. Ulti popped by Dyrus. Now, can he limp away? The answer is yes. 1v3. Dyrus lives.
It's all that CS he acquired for himself in the lane swap. Handed over to him. Dyrus has the highest CS on TSM after being lane swapped on.
Absolutely incredible. Dyrus massive. He's level 8. All is going well. Mid lane died for that attempt.
He just
TSM
pulled
massive.
He just pulled so much pressure because of that. It gives TSM that turret. Handed to them. Coaster just handing them all these different things. CS onto Dyrus. Mid lane kill for Bjergsen. This turret push into mid lane. That you just can't do that. They're being punished for these mistakes. And TSM, they punish the smallest of mistakes, but when a mistake is that big, they take your whole arm.
Yes, they do. Give him a finger. That drops away.
They take your whole body when they give you a finger.
That's weird.
They just don't like getting the finger.
Yeah. Well, Dragon doesn't have fingers, has talons. TSM going to take those anyway. So, Dragons don't have fingers. They don't. Bam! There's a dragon.
They have
TSM well in control.
They have claws coming out of their fingers.
No, they have talons.
If they had talons, they would just be like a full.
Look, I know like
talon.
chicken fingers
Yeah.
are called fingers. They're not actually fingers.
It's the new delicacy, dragon fingers.
Fingers. Dragon tenders, maybe. 4,000 gold, though, puts TSM ahead. Coast have a lot of work ahead of them if they want to come back in this game. Sheep, still without an ultimate at 12 minutes into the game, is a rough situation to be in. Mash will have a freeze created for him, and the question is, we saw CLG play for Tier 2 turrets. They managed to make some nice out-rotation plays, knock them down in a decent amount of time, and then play for Dragon 5. I want to know, with Coast trying to freeze, how much pressure TSM can get, since Baron's not even up and Dragon's gone for 5 minutes.
And they really want that push forward. 2 pink wards in there. They want to keep you in there for 10 hits. But the way that TSM are going to break sieges or break freezes are just shoving down as 5. They have a really good composition for team fighting and picking. So they want to shove waves. They have great wave clear. Then go to different objectives, bounce between the two, catch people possibly, but Wild Turtle on that Jinx is going to shred turrets still.
Absolutely going to. Early Berserker's Greaves and going towards a Static Shiv later on, that's fine. But the attack damage core is there, and that's the big thing you need for the turret damage. So a lot happens. The 10 auto attacks go through. Santorin with a double kill on pink wards. TSM unsurprisingly 90% win rate via Twitter votes. Chris versus Dyrus 1v1. Chris is down a level and forced to run away.
Oh, here comes Impaler.
In comes Impaler. They're trying for round 2. Dyrus ulti is down. The damage is probably going to be enough. His flash gone as well. Does what damage he can. But Chris will be not donated the kill. Goes to Impaler after all. But by the way, top goes down.
I said it after the previous game. Your shot calling is tested by these top tier teams. If you're sending 2 people to deal with 1 guy, they immediately punish you with the other 4-on-3 on the opposite side of the map without not a fight, but with a turret. So TSM are getting turrets this way off of a split push of Dyrus. That's drawing a lot of attention. And that's another thing that's handed to you, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But think about the way TSM goes about it. You theoretically, Sivir, Blitz, and Zed are threatening enough to defend a turret because you don't want to get hooked. But with all the ward control TSM has, they show up unannounced. Coast aren't ready. They're not in position. Down goes the turret. So TSM have taken 2 of those Tier 2 turrets down already 13 minutes into the game. And Coast really unable to press any advantages.
And the support defending the turret immediately makes Chris back off.
There's no vision for him.
Exactly. The vision is very, very stark for them. They can't see a whole lot of this map. They don't know any of that deep vision either. Like they have it's very scarce, very shallow. It's all allocated on the right side of the map, the top right for them.
Much like a coast, the vision is shallow.
Hey!
Team Ocean would get deep vision. And the tunnels collapse. TSM continue to restrict the options available. Nice hook attempt there. Not going to happen though. Santorin smites the Wolf Spirit for even more vision, as though wards weren't enough.
And now here's the wave. They're ready to siege it up. Dyrus is here. Look at this. Chris
All
on the
5
opposite side of the map. Impaler on the opposite side of the map. It's a free tier 2. Coast are just letting them have this.
They are absolutely letting them have it. TSM, 15 minutes in, have 6 turret kills and 6,000 gold worth of a lead right here. They are absolutely destroying this game right here. Coast, well, the variance ManCloud tried earlier on, but now he's getting jumped on.
He doesn't have a turret there either. They decided not to go hard for it. But this is what Coast is getting for this, is Chris shoving top lane and Impaler possibly being able to help him out to get this turret. But Dyrus is here to answer, and he'll buy a lot of time. But if 2 people are shoving top and only 1 person is there, you have 4 people shoving somewhere else, possibly mid lane. We'll have to see. Oh, they're all going to back.
For Dyrus and another attempt, though. Ulti should be up for Maokai. Indeed it is. Gets a bit of a knockback and a nice slow, but nothing really else gained. He should be able to clear this wave pretty safely.
Just wants
does so just fine.
Exactly. Just wants to clear it because the 4 members of TSM were backing so that they can re-shove out mid. Dyrus can cause pressure in this top lane and relieve the pressure that Chris just spent that entire time building up.
Yeah.
He had to take that wave from his tier 2 all the way to their tier 2 just to have it cleared and to lose the turret at the same time.
Yeah, it's just really grim for Coast right here. Team Solo mid really not being dictated to at all. All Coast could really get as an objective is losing a flash maybe. Just trying to get some farm on decent key members, just no real progress being made in the game.
And here's the thing too, is it's actually a 4-on-5 right now. Dyrus is in the base. He does have his teleport and he's been holding onto it for a very, very long time. But Coast still can't do anything, despite the number advantage for themselves. We quickly turn into just numbers being even. So there's not a lot of windows of opportunity here. TSM don't show a lot of weak points when they get to this point in the game, when they get a lead and start getting these turrets down. They don't struggle from getting the tier 2s. The inhibitors, though, are a different story. But they have dragons falling into their laps to help them with that.
It's worth keeping in mind, though, Dragon 1 went in like 11 minutes into the game. It's a really late first Dragon. So I can't imagine Dragon 5 being a real thing in this game. That would be such a great delay by Coast if it did get that far. But right now, Dragon 2 is turret damage. That'll help if TSM can get that 1 pick in the out rotation. But Baron being up in 3 minutes may be the realistic siege objective.
Yeah, they're pretty much taking dragons to get the turret sieging bonus, the number 2 and number 3 for movement, but also they're doing it to make sure that Coast don't get any and don't have that possibility to stall the game out. So taking more tools away from them, taking more options away, so that they can get to a point where they are completely 100% in control. Because right now, they're almost there. They're like 95%. Yeah, there's tiny things that Coast can do to get back, but TSM closing those windows.
They are closing the windows, but if there's anything at all, Coast needs to try. Of course, they haven't surrendered. They haven't left the game. So there's always the chance.
You can't surrender this early.
Hey, I wouldn't even if I were able to. You always got to fight on. You've always got that chance. I mean, keep in mind, TSM had a lead against them similar to this in their CLG game.
Ooh.
And hooks like that are ways you can get back in.
Yeah. Well, not hooks like that.
Okay. That's fair.
Having ward control of the brush and throwing hooks that land out of it would definitely help you if they're on the right person.
Pretend I said that.
All right. Hey, Creed.
I'm smart,
Great
right?
insight on how Coast will get back in this game.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, that's how Coast get the control of this game.
Oh.
They're going to run down.
Wild
Turtle
Turtle's
out
very
of
alone.
position.
Forced to flash. Chris does not land a slow just yet.
Everybody's trying to get
over,
him.
gonna be
Must on the
soon.
side.
Sheep's around. They're teleporting a Maokai. They're going to one-shot the AD carry. 5v4. What can happen now? Lustboy isolated. ManCloud getting jumped on, though, and in comes Santorin. He does dodge the charm on in. Oh my god, Bjergsen! That charm was gorgeous! That's a 1-for-1 so far, and the fight's going to continue with TSM having a gigantic gold lead. Chris is going to get taken down, and now Sheep running away.
Bjergsen looks like he wants a little bit more of this.
Uh-oh. He does want a
Has
bit more
his
of
charm.
this. Jumps in. Nice
It's
juke
a
on the
Paler.
charm. It catches the Paler. Oh no! The flash on in, Maokai catches up, and Paler gets him bailed. Down he goes. A 2-for-1 TSM.
Yeah, when ManCloud ultied Lust Boy, Bjergsen went happy birthday me and threw the charm out immediately where he was going to be. Great recovery there from Turtle being caught out.
Yeah, TSM just running on in. They knew they had the gold lead, that they could limp into that fight a little bit slow, and it would be fine. Indeed, it was. Coast just takes so long to make the plays. TSM being unpressured means their flashes and teleports are always up.
They use a lot to even reach Turtle in the first place. He eats the hook and is immediately out of the fight, so it's a 4-on-5. Then the exhaust comes down on ManCloud, and he has to wait it out immediately, right here. Boom! And they use a lot to take down ManCloud, but it's worth it at that point because he can't snap back to his clone and get out of there. Dyrus immediately trails this off, and now Bjergsen still has remaining charges of his ultimate to close the distance. Really well played there by TSM. Wild Turtle, though, being caught out of position was a pretty big blunder.
Yeah.
And I see TSM, when they get big leads like this, they mess around a bit.
Yep.
They kind of phone it in at some point.
I want Bjergsen back for Ravenous Hydra at some point.
Oh, man. He did. He did that in that one game. I don't think he's going to do it this game.
Polidarian. Do it. 5 Ohm Wreckers, TSM. Up Adam's win rate. You have the power to shape the meta, TSM.
Ohm Wrecker would not be terrible.
No, you're right. It's actually quite good. That's why I suggested it.
Banner of Men would not be terrible.
Taking Baron would not be terrible.
Zhishiba Portal would not be terrible.
Oh my gosh. Whoa! Woo! Rek'Sai flying by like ships in the night. Doesn't get the smite down. 4,000 health on Baron, but Charm says hello, Impaler. Jumps in a little bit early, knocked around. Kill goes through to TSM. Low steal attempts. Sheep looks for a hook. Pulls in Dyrus, maybe not who he wanted. And in goes Chris as well. He's going to likely get dropped. They're trying what he can. ManCloud limps away, though. Ooh. Does dodge the zap, but he's on the wrong side of this fight now.
Bjergsen's going to go deal with him. Everybody else is going to push the mid lane right now. Whoa! Juke!
Oh, hey! The coast is clear for ManCloud. He's good. Yeah. But by the way, TSM push the mid lane with the Baron buff. This inhibitor is not long for the world.
They're going to continue to push this up. They're going to get this inhibitor turret and the inhibitor and crack the base. The 10k gold lead at 21 minutes and the Baron buff. They have a lot they can do here, but they have to back off now. Man, that play Bjergsen just made. That's something you do on stream because you're like, hey, I either make the highlight reel or I just look really bad. It's the highlight reel play.
Dude, my highlight reel play was I had the tornado ready on Yasuo, and I randomly tornado the wolf camp and just spam R. I have no vision, by the way. And I teleport on the enemy jungler and kill him. And I was like,
Hey.
No cost, looked cool.
That didn't have a risk to it, though. So you wouldn't have, unless it was all
If the rest of the team was there.
The whole team was there, then maybe. Yeah. But I like this, that Bjergsen goes off and goes after the jungler. You should always, if you have the option to, single out the enemy jungler. If you're the support, if you're the mid laner, you can kill him. Then great, because it doesn't become the 50-50 Dragon Steal or Baron Steal. It becomes, we have Smite, it's now all on our jungler's shoulders to look at that number and be like, okay, do our numbers match up? Crunch it? Speaking of number crunching.
Oh, that was really smart by Zed. He stopped as soon as the reveal wore off. So Bjergsen was leading the way, he was moving. See, Bjergsen's played Space Invaders before. You have to go at where they're heading, not where they're at the time. But mind games by ManCloud. Hold on, though. Wild Turtle is getting jumped on. The team is kind of around. Chris nowhere to be seen, though. Mash nearly gets one shot.
Whoa.
And actually, yeah, that's going to happen. 2 more kills for TSM. 10-2 in this game.
That's the huge gold lead there, showing itself in pure combat prowess. Lust Boy coming up to save the day. The Flash.
That's a surrender.
Yes. They come in there at the turret. 23 minutes.
Wow.
Surrender.
Team solo mid with one of the most brutal games I have seen in the North American LCS. Every lane crushed. Bjergsen got the solo kills, as you expect. The team fights were awesome. The lane swap was incredibly well played. Nothing but good things to say about TSM.
And TSM maintained sole possession of first place at the halfway point in the season. Bjergsen did 3 times more damage than anybody on Coast's side. He basically did everybody on that team's damage added together.
Yeah. and double anyone else on TSM. Smiles for these guys. They were in control the whole time. I don't think the end of that game was a surprise to them. Waited around for that Baron, used it to win the game. And what's crazy is, in a game like that, you don't always expect a lot of highlights. You're like, all right, well, they're winning, and TSM's going to win, and so they win. And yet there were so many cool highlight reel plays still there. Bjergsen, with the charm off the death mark, was freaking ridiculous. Dyrus got the ward over the wall, stood in front of Blitzcrank to block hook, just in case on the Baron attempt. You say, sometimes they might mess around, they might lose focus, but honestly, TSM looked very well controlled and still had so many good plays throughout that short 23-minute game.
They do have to reel Turtle in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he seems to be where everybody heads when they try to look to get back in the game. When Turtle is alone, they'll rush him, and then that's the bright spot for other teams. But can't knock them too much on that at all. They had a really, really good game there from start to finish. Bjergsen was down in CS over ManCloud, and then ManCloud handed him the advantage in the mid lane.
Yeah.
The lane swap got sniffed out there, and I thought that was really good by TSM to just be like, all right, your Kassadin is going to get no farm. Dyrus gets so much farm.
Got to 1v1.
In that 1v1. And then Sheep had to go bottom. They ended up pulling them down there. And then they pulled their jungler over. Santorin was there for the 3-on-1 push. Really, really well done there by TSM to make the early moves and force Coast to react to them when they have a new person on their roster.
Yeah. A lot of really clean plays by Team Solo Mid overall. And it's, as you said, halfway through the season, they have dropped one game to Team 8. Otherwise, these guys have been destroying everybody. TSM, with 9 games to go over the next 4.5 weeks, might be looking at a very low number of losses for a split. And heck, I don't know how you want to count the records, right? Cloud9 standing record being 25-3, but by win percentage, TSM are on pace to break that, to be the most dominant team we have ever seen in the North American LCS. And hey, props to TSM, they can do it, but we've got a lot more games to go before that happens. Right now, they're going to check in with Riv, who's standing by with TSM's birthday boy.
Well, I'd say 9-1 is pretty good coming to this one. Definitely shooting for the top spot on that, as well as the fastest game this split you guys were able to pull out. And you were just telling me, unfortunately, you lost last time on your birthday. So big win here, but coming into the game, you struggled a little bit against ManCloud. What was it like playing against them again on the LCS stage?
It wasn't really as much about the 1v1 matchup. They had Blitz just constantly roaming from the top lane. He was missing for so long while we were focusing more on denying Kassadin. So their playstyle was more towards getting me behind, and we were more about getting Kassadin behind. I feel like I did a better job of coming back in the game, and Kassadin just kind of stayed down. So they focused me very heavily in the early game, and it was just more about the constant pressure from Rek'Sai and Blitz.
Well, a lot of things have looked good from Team Solo Mid since the first half of the split is now coming to an end. We start going back to the roundabout tomorrow. You guys have looked so good. What is TSM going to look to improve on in the second half of this spring split?
The biggest thing we're improving on right now is different play styles. We want to be able to carry through all lanes and play a lot of different champions and play a lot of different play styles. Reginald always likes to compare us to Samson White, not because we're as good as them, but because he wants us to be as good as them. So he says they could play this, they could play that around Worlds, and he wants us to be able to do that. So he always uses them as the example, and it's something we have to live up to.
And Bjergsen, it looks like you guys are having a blast every time TSM takes to the Rift, even when you guys were down against CLG. What's the mentality of the team this year? Has it changed? Is there a new dynamic?
The overall mentality of the team is obviously really good. We've been winning a lot, so it definitely helps keeping us on top. But they're all just really nice guys, and we all enjoy hanging out with each other outside the game too. We're also friends, and I think that's what keeps a team together even through losses. Because if you're not friends and you're going through losses, then you're going to want to replace players. You're going to want to put the blame on people, but we're also friends, and we stick together.
All right, Bjergsen, final question. You guys have Team Liquid tomorrow. How are you going to approach that game?
We're going to just approach it like every other game. Prepare, pick some bans, look at how they play. Obviously, they have a slightly different team dynamic now with Keith, where they might put some more focus on Quas. We saw Quas get a really big advantage on the Fizz, so I don't know. We'll see.
All right, man. Happy birthday once again. Congrats on the win. We're going to throw it to the guys at the analyst desk to break down the rest of the day.
Thank you, Riv. Again, I want to extend our happy birthday wishes to Bjergsen there, who played fantastically, added a couple highlight plays to his reel there in that game.
Yeah, I mean, he had the outplay, 1 versus 1 with ManCloud. I mean, they focused him really hard. Costa's plan, you could see it. They were trying to keep Bjergsen down. They got ManCloud a CS lead by all those repeated ganks, but he still came out with that solo kill. Then plus, even the play that he missed the charm, I just want to point out how good Bjergsen's calculations were. I mean, he took into account 370 move speed was the last speed that he saw Zed at. The trajectory due south, the last known trajectory of Zed. So that plus 1.2 seconds. And he almost got him. I mean, if he had kept moving in the same path, that charm was going to land. But Zed just stopped moving and started recalling as soon as the vision wore off. So good effort, Bjergsen. It would have hit.
He overthought it. Too much time spent on the calculations.
He's too good.
Right? That's what it is. He's too good. He predicted everything a bit too much. All right. Now to the actual gameplay, break down the game itself. We found, as you mentioned, Coast dedicating a lot of their resources to that mid lane in an attempt to put ManCloud in a good position. And although they did establish that slight CS lead in the mid lane, ultimately it left them exposed in their outside lanes.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, TSM played the lane swap really well, but having to also use this Blitzcrank about half the time ganking mid lane really did cost them. They couldn't keep Dyrus down. He got really strong in that in the lane swap situation. So then they had a fed tank. They came out with the gold lead already, and they were able to knock down turrets with the early lead as well.
And I have to say, the only other thing I want to talk about here is what Bjergsen actually mentioned in his interview just then, is that Reginald pushes them to emulate teams like Samsung White, in that he wants them to find more ways to win than one. He really wants them to have, an expansive toolbox to pull from.
Yeah, I like that too. We saw in the TSM, their show that they have, where they put out their own videos about the team life. There's a lot of discussion about preparing for the future and preparing those different strategies for when they do have international competition. And lane swaps are definitely a big part of that as well. We've seen back-to-back games now where the more veteran team absolutely crushes with the lane swap and takes that early advantage and never lets their opponent back into the game.
Well, as we've seen, they're looking pretty strong already, TSM. We'll see if they continue to expand that strategic pool and rise up the standings. We are going to pull up those standings, though, to see how things look after today's matches. In the top spot, it is Team Solo Mid with only one loss, and one game back from them. In second, it's CLG. Cloud9, Gravity, and Winter Fox are sharing third, followed by Team Impulse and Liquid holding sixth. Team 8 and Team Dignitas are in eighth, with Coast sitting in last. We have now reached the halfway point, so tomorrow we'll get the start of our spring split rematches as teams meet for the second time. We'll kick it off with a pretty big one. Cloud9 versus CLG, followed by Team Liquid facing off against Team Solo Mid, and we'll conclude Week 5 with Team Impulse versus Gravity. That will hit your browsers noon Pacific, 6 p.m. Central European time. So be sure to tune in for those, as, again, there are some pretty big matches tomorrow. Now for myself, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
A lot of fans are excited to see how these teams will perform today with their new rosters in place.
Imagine picks up that kill first, cross to the back line, he will go down to Altac, and they still have Assault and Battery. Winter Fox takes down Team Liquid.
They're so low. Alright, he's dead, great. He's dead.
It's picked up by Keen. Aspect to the Dragon for Gravity as they jump into the fight. A double, a triple kill for Cop, a quadra kill for Cop.
Game 2 is going to be Gravity taking down Team 8.
Rumble blue?
Rumble band? Yeah, Rumble band.
No, Rumble isn't blue though.
왜 마오카이 럼블 나눠먹는 그런 거?
Is he?
괜찮아.
Okay, Rumble.
No, a little bit.
It's gonna be a rocky ride. Bumpy ride. I know, but the chair's rocky, so I changed the lyrics. You mad?
Xiao could get hit up. Twisted advance distortion to the back line. Hai can also make that move. He gets out with the alt shadow. Cloud9 take down Team Impulse.
They're here. Come back.
Right side.
I'm walking forward.
Time up at 6.
They're outside.
Hey, Tristan, Lucian. Go.
He's dead.
I got time up.
Counter Logic Gaming, still only 2 losses.
Push the mid lane. Whoa!
Duke, hey! Then he jumped on. The team was kind of around. Chris is nowhere to be seen though. Match, it's one shot. And actually, yeah, it's gonna happen. Team solo mid. One of the most brutal games I have seen.